Good morning, everyone. Are we ready to go, Martina?
I think we may just be waiting for one more person. We'll just see if they connect here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum of the committee, so you can begin if you want, or you can wait until the other members join us. We're missing one person.
Missing one person. Well, maybe we'll wait for, it's not quite 9 o'clock yet here.
That's true.
Okay, we'll wait a couple of minutes then. What do you think of those Montreal Canadiens, folks?
We know where Jim stands.
Right. That's a well-worn jersey.
Right.
Between the Blue Jays, the San Francisco Giants, and the Montreal Canadiens, it's really good to be a sports fan.
Good.
You're missing the Argos.
Yeah.
We're Cat fans in our family, so, but we
are missing it. That against you.
No, they're the best. It's really just because their mascot is so entertaining.
Right. Oh, true. Oh, it looks like we're ready to go.
We are indeed.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm Carl Moher. I'm chair of the Committee Planning and Committee of Adjustment. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that this meeting is being recorded and it's live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. We'll be holding the meeting as if we're in the council chambers, and we'll follow all the regular policies and procedures of the procedural bylaw. Please raise your hand. Members, this is referring to, raise your hand if you wish to speak on a matter, and I'll call on you. When I call on you to vote, I will ask you all those in favor, followed by all those opposed, and you can physically, I'll ask you to raise your hand to vote in the manner that you wish to vote. I'd like to call now the roll. Please raise your hand and state the presence when we call your name. We have a new member of the committee starting today's meeting, and a little bit later we're going to have introductions. So I'll just call the people to verify their presence. First of all, member Wendy Dunford. You're
present.
Here, okay, next member is Rod Manley.
Present.
Good, Rod. Next member is Jim Patterson.
Present.
And next member is Jim Mollahan.
Present.
Jim, I see you. Okay. Now the next, we have also Martina Chart-Hedwick, who is our clerk planning coordinator, and doing some of the technical work behind the scenes is Nicole Zinner and Vanessa Sweeting. So welcome, everyone. We have various committee or applicants on the line already, so I'd just like to call the meeting to order. Among our members, any disclosure of pecuniary interest of the items on the agenda today? Okay, seeing none. Now, introductions. This is an opportunity to maybe, since we've got two people relatively new on our committee, I'd like to, if they could, I'll call your name and maybe you could give a brief background of your relationship to the work of the committee and a few words about why you think you can make a difference on this committee. So can I ask you, Wendy, to start?
Sure. Sorry, I had a little blip with my headphones there. So I'm Wendy Dunford. I joined the committee 2.5 years ago. My first meeting was January of 2019. And I'm retired. I retired 5 years ago from Peterborough Utilities. And in retirement, I just wanted to give back to the township that I've spent most of my life in. And I think the qualities that I bring to the committee are attention to detail. I'm pretty organized and I try to be well prepared for the meetings.
Thank you, Wendy. Jim, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Jim Patterson. Sorry.
Jim Patterson. Too many Jims.
Yeah.
Okay. We won't do it alphabetically, but I'll go first. How about that? I'm Jim Patterson. I live in Dummer Township. I made some notes just so I don't lose track and go overboard. I've been on the Committee of Adjustment and Planning Committees since January of 2016. I'm a farmer's kid from Southwest Ontario. My parents were both from farms in Manitoba, so I've got wheat chaff in my pant cuffs. I went to Toronto for university. I stayed there 40 years, raising a family. In retirement, we moved to the Duck Pond on Stony Lake. I learned one of the best views of Toronto is the one in the rear view mirror. I worked at 3 international advertising agencies and Television Bureau of Canada, active in community and industry boards and politics. I still am active. I'm a commissioned officer in the Canadian Army Armored Corps. We have 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and 2 grandsons, equally split between Northumberland County and Corte Madera, California. As I said earlier, I'm a Jays fan. I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, and I'm now, well, I've always been a Habs fan. So I'm a happy guy this morning.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Rod Manley, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. So hi, I'm Rod Manley. I was born and raised in neighboring Autonomy Township at that point in time. I worked for the city of Peterborough for 32 years. Started off as the Zamboni driver and again, Parks and Forestry, Human Resources, and eventually emergency manager with the fire department and retired early. Married to Leah, I have 2 sons and 4 grandchildren. After I retired, I was a consultant in the emergency management world, where I looked after approximately 30 municipalities, again, planning, but planning in a little different perspective. I went on to teach for 10 years at Fleming College in emergency management, business continuity. And my current passion is I'm the returning officer for Peterborough Kawartha electoral district. As far as planning goes, I was, again, the last official reeve of Asphodel before amalgamation with Norwood. I was on council for 16 years. And I found that planning committee and committee of adjustment, planning issues was the biggest challenge with our council and most controversial with our residents. 2 large ones that come to mind that I had part of is the Indian River Reptile Zoo, was part of our rezoning and came to be, and Dreamland Resort down by Hastings. I currently sit on the Peterborough County Planning Advisory Committee. And again, I think I bring a fair perspective to all applications. I may be close to the line a lot of the times, but I believe that our guidelines have been blessed by council, and their wishes, until I hear differently, was to follow that to within understanding of being fair and fair to all, but yet respecting neighbors and people that may live there a later date. So anyways, that's me, and glad to be on the committee. It's good to be back again on the committee to assist where I can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rod. Jim Mullihan, you're our new member, first meeting this morning.
Yes, so I'm pleased to join the committee. I've not been on this committee in the past here, but I have been a resident of this township since 1978. Grown our family here and still have family living in the community. Been very involved with the fire department here in Douro-Dummer since, well, I guess over 35 years now. Was quite involved with the management of the association and procedures that we did with council to obtain insurance properly and working back and forth with that. I've been a self-employed contractor, builder, renovator for 40 some years now. And so I've been involved in the process of severances and obtaining permits and everything in order to get things to make happen with our business. So I manage the commercial side of the building of our business and still do that. I am widowed, so I'm on my own now. And I guess I was going to say I have more time, but I'm not sure I do. It didn't seem to work out that way. I still have a lot on my plate, but fortunately, a lot of times when you have enough on your plate, you get things done as well. I've been very involved with with my church community and been on the board with them in policies and management there with finances and with our different organizations that we have within the church, what we do and how we get things done, and in the city of Peterborough. So with that, and so we've been quite involved with that, and I look forward to maybe working with the committees here and seeing if I can help to make an improvement on things that are here, follow the guidelines that are there. I've been reading a lot in the last week and a half that I've been accepted on this committee, so I still have a lot to learn, and I'll take a back seat for a bit here, but I'm not afraid to discuss and work forward to an agreement that works best for our community, and that's the main thing. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jim. Martina, can you, as our major support person for this committee, can you go forward now?
Sure. I'm Martina Chait-Hartwig. I've worked at the township since 2011. I've held a wide variety of roles during that time. I've worked in almost every department except finance at some point in time. So I have a really good understanding of all of the functions of the municipality. And I think I have a good connection to the community at this point after almost a decade. Before I came to work for the municipality, I worked for Legal Aid Ontario. So I do have a background in policy and law and justice work. And since being here at the township, I've been associated with this committee in some form or another since 2013, whether that's been behind the scenes preparing items or becoming the secretary treasurer, stepping back from that role, bringing that role back. But I really enjoy working with both of these committees. I think these committees really have a big impact on our community and our residents. And I really enjoy working with all of the applicants directly, guiding them through this process right from the first phone call all the way till they appear in front of you today. And so yeah, I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to be your resource. I also have Nicole Zenner and Vanessa Sweeting as assistants. Nicole specializes in the minor variance process and Vanessa specializes in the severance process. So if I'm not available, you're always welcome to speak to them as well because they have a wealth of knowledge. Okay,
thank you, Martina. On the line as well, we have our Alana Arthurs, our CAO. Alana works supporting all groups in our township. So Alana, you're relatively new to Douro-Dummer. Perhaps you could give us a little bit of a summary.
Thank you. It's nice to meet everybody because I am relatively new to Douro-Dummer and this is the first meeting that I've been able to attend with this group. I did start in Douro-Dummer in March of this year. Previous to that, I was in the Township of Cavan-Monaghan for 9 years as the clerk. I did do all the committee of adjustment work there, so I am familiar with the process as well as the regulations and what you go through to approve these applications and review them. Previous to that, I was actually with the town of Prescott, and during my time there, I obtained the prime run planning certificate, also did some planning administration, so I do have some background knowledge. Coming into Douro-Dummer, Martina does a fantastic job with the planning applications and this group. And by all means, I'm here to support her and the rest of the staff and the committee should you need anything moving forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alana. Relative to myself, this will be my 24th year in municipal politics. I think probably the main reason I entered municipal government was planning. I have a keen interest in official plans going way back to a number of years ago. So this will be my 24th year. I'm a former successful financial advisor. Have my office in Lakefield, retired totally from the office three years ago. Former to that, I was with Bell Canada in management for a number of years. So that's kind of my background. I've five a spouse at home here, and 5 grandchildren and 3 kids, which are all in the community. And that's about it, the summary for me. So thanks for the time. I think that was well worth the time to spend there. Getting to our meeting agenda, approval of the minutes from June the 11th. If a member could move those, please. Just right, okay, Jim Patterson, seconded by Rod. Any comments or questions? All in favor? All in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Seeing none, carried. Okay, we have next is our agenda on the minor variance, A0621. The applicant is William's son. I understand Ken Curry is the representative. Welcome, Ken.
How are you today?
Good. Martina, can you take us through this application and the highlights, and then we'll give Ken or the sons an opportunity to add anything else to the information.
Very good. So this is application A0621. It's for part lot 30, concession 5 and road allowance, which includes 45R 6562, part 4 at 776 Hawkins Lane in the Dummer ward. The owner would like to construct a new detached garage on the subject property. To permit the structure in the proposed location, configuration, variances are required to increase the lot coverage for an accessory structure from 5% to 7.2%, which is an increase of 2.2%, and to allow for an increase in the accessory structure building height from 4.5 meters to 5.61 meters, an increase of 1.1 meters. All of this is shown on the survey prepared by JBF Flugel surveyors. And also the design included dated February 21st, 2021. Staff have reviewed this application and have had multiple meetings with Mr. Curry, who is the agent for the applicant. In the report, it does explain why they're asking for this increase. They have a 36-foot RV unit, and they wish to have it stored inside. And due to that, they need to have this larger garage so that this unit can fit and not be left outside. We have received comments from the public, and I believe there are a few folks on the line as well who would like to speak to this. So I'll leave that part to them, and then I can always fill in more information. Staff are recommending that this application be approved as it is, as staff feel that it meets the 4 tests, and that has been explained through the report, and I can review that if the committee wishes. Further to that, we have not received comments from the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority. This building location lies outside of their jurisdiction, which I believe is why they have not commented. Curve Lake First Nations has provided comments that this area is within 300 meters of a water body and known trading routes for the Indigenous peoples of this area. So they are requesting an archaeological study. And so the conditions that we are recommending that be imposed on this application is that it be for the life of the structure only, that the applicant obtain any necessary permits from ORCA, Douro-Dummer Building Department, Trans-Severn Waterways, and any other required ministry or agency, that proper building plans be submitted with the building permit application based on the design included on the site plan by JBF surveyors, and the building drawing provided by residential design and construction consultants dated February 21st, 2021. That verification from an Ontario land surveyor be provided to the township's chief building official after the structure is framed to confirm that all applicable setbacks have been met and to ensure compliance with any decision of this committee. That an archaeological study be completed and submitted to the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture. And that if any archaeological artifacts are found during construction, that all development shall be halted immediately and the proper agencies be contacted.
Okay, thank you, Martina. Mr. Curry, any further comments you wish to make?
No, I think Martina's pretty much covered everything very well.
Okay.
I mean, the whole thing is about this gentleman's RV and trying to get it inside.
Okay. Thank you. Now, this is a public meeting. It's an opportunity for anyone that wishes to express support for the application or opposition to it. I'll ask first, is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the application? Just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Anyone speaking in favor? Okay, anyone speaking against the application? If you could raise your hand, please.
I have a question more than
Okay.
anything.
Sure, you go ahead. Is it McLaren?
Yes. I'm not
Tammy
sure what
McLaren?
sorry. I'm not sure what the dimensions are, although there's an increase, but I don't know what the original dimensions were.
Okay, Martina, could you provide that information, please?
I can indeed. So the dimensions of this new garage, it's 12.19 meters wide, and it is 15.24 meters deep.
And 5.61 meters high.
To the midpoint of the roof, that's correct.
And the RV is
36 feet, sorry, 38 feet. I can.
We're using two different units of measure, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the math for you there. One moment. It is 11.58 meters long, the RV.
So it's 15 meters wide. So is that
15 meters deep.
Okay, you said wide and then 12.
No, the width is 12.19 meters across.
Okay. That's a pretty wide RV. I guess it's using it for multiple things then.
Just for the committee's benefit, all of the documents and design information are on our website, and they have been posted for about a week now for anyone to view.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't see it. I was looking for it. Thank you.
Any further comments, Ms. McLaren?
Well, I'm unsure.
Okay.
I had sent a letter just indicating I'm concerned about the cottagers in the area and the changes that we've seen already and how it's impacted our area. The noise, the dirt, the garbage, the inconvenience with parking on the road. I'm not sure how this will be addressed. I'm not sure how to get around it, except that these were concerns that I raised in the letter I provided for you. So I just want to let the committee know that these are true concerns based on what we've seen happening with the changes on the property currently.
I would like to add to that, actually.
Hold for a second, please. Martina, do you have record of that information you received?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I did receive Tammy's and Scott's letter yesterday, but I was on vacation, so I've only looked at it this morning. I can read it out verbatim if the committee wishes.
Sure, let's do that before we go to the next step.
Great. So my husband and I wish to be part of the meeting scheduled for Friday, June 25th at 9 a.m. The new owners of 776 Hawkins have done significant changes to their property since the acquisition in late summer of 2020, with the building of a new shed, major landscaping with insertion of many large, numerous non-native trees, a new interlocking driveway, and major digging in the back field. Workers have caused much dust, noise, and congestion on the road, with parking done on neighbors' property without permission, garbage left on the road, work beginning before 8 a.m. and continuing after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, and potholes being made due to the heavy traffic of machinery. With the building of the garage, concerns listed above will continue at an even greater scale. We are concerned that a very large structure will impact the green space that residents have come to enjoy and wish to maintain. Contrary to the claim in Mr. Sun's application, there are not many garages built in the back fields. The property owned by Mr. Sun had originally had a garage which was converted into additional living quarters by the previous owner. The area in question is meant to be for all cottagers and residents. The disruptions have been continuous and invasive. We ask that other residents be treated with consideration and respect.
So I guess, first of all, if I could have a committee member move that we receive that correspondence, please. It's Jim Patterson, seconded by Rod. All in favor of receiving that document? Carried. Okay, now, I think somebody identified by Sean Gelly is next. Could you just identify who's on the call there with you? Unmute yourself first. There you go.
Hello, my name is Brittany Wilson.
Okay, go ahead with your comment.
So the concerns I have are very similar to the McLaren scenario.
Audio problem. I just wonder, might you be connected by landline and by internet? It sounds like you might be. You're echoey.
No, we're not.
Okay, maybe it's just the quality of the
I'm not. Possibly. Is it still echoey now?
It's better now.
Okay. So I own the property or the cottage adjacent to the said property in discussion, and my experience at this point is they've removed trees that father had planted many years ago that are directly on the property line. They are not on their property. They removed them off of mine. They've also excavated right on the property line, removing some of the survey stakes that were originally put in. They've used my land to plant and park their excavators, as well as hold some of their soil and garbage. They've been very inconsiderate with any construction that they've done at this point. As said earlier, it's 7 days a week, through the weekends, early in the morning to late in the evening. It's been a huge inconvenience. I'm not overly opposed to a structure being built, but I am certainly concerned that it's going to impact everybody, especially myself, because I am their direct neighbor. They haven't shown any concern or grace towards anybody at this point.
Using your property.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to ask members or people that are attending the meeting to have yourselves muted if you're not speaking. There is some background music and noise that's maybe can interrupt some of the communication. So now, any further comments from anyone? There's a couple more people on here. Martina, go ahead.
I just want to let you know that Barbara and Bud Wilkes are here. They've also submitted a letter, and I believe they would wish to speak as well.
Okay. Barbara and Bud Wilk, go ahead.
Martina, could you just read our letter? That really states our concerns, and that would be appropriate if you could, please.
Very good. So, Mr. Chair, the letter that Barbara and Bud have sent in is as follows. While we completely understand the desire of the applicant to make changes to the property at 776 Hawkins Lane, we do wish to outline our concerns. In the recommendation decision section, test 2, the application is desirable and appropriate to the development of this land as it maintains the residential nature of the area, and many of the other properties also have detached garages or storage buildings on the property. In fact, the lots behind the cottages have an agreement of all of the original owners, we have been here since 1954, to leave the area, the original owners been left as open green space. New ownership of one of the lots resulted in a large garage workshop living quarters being constructed on the back lot. This has had a major impact on the original green space. The proposed second large building definitely will have a negative effect on the landscape. In our opinion, this application is definitely not desirable and appropriate for the development of the land. Over the last couple of months, we have been subjected to continuous interruptions of our right to the quiet enjoyment of our property. There has been no effort to mitigate the dust noise from large equipment being used to plant trees, both during the weekdays and weekends. It is not possible to sit outside because of the dust being created from early morning till late night. The private road has definitely been impacted with large potholes and ruts. While we trust that the committee review of this application with consideration for the above concerns, if this application is approved, we request the following: that all work be carried out in a professional and respectful manner, that work not commence prior to 9 a.m. to ensure that we residents are afforded a measure of a quiet environment, and be limited to weekdays. Consideration be given to ensure that the private gravel road is consistently maintained and watered to ensure there is a minimum of dust infiltrating our property and cottages. Health concerns. All equipment and trucks traveling the road in a slow and careful manner. Safety concern. Any damage to the private road and adjacent front and back lots beside the road be corrected in a timely manner. That regular inspections be conducted by the township to ensure that the rights of neighbors and the protection of the environment are strictly adhered to. Any full or partial blockage of the road, both private and public, be communicated to each owner in advance, i.e. large trucks are currently parked and left for many days on the township road. Barbara and Robert Wilkes.
Thank you. Now, if I could have a member of the committee move to receive that correspondence, please. Wendy, seconded by Jim Malham. All in favor of receiving that information? It's carried. Okay, thank you very much. Further comments?
Hello.
I just want to make sure, is there anyone else that would like to speak against the motion or against the application? There's a camera at the bottom there. I'm not sure. There. Motto? Are there comments there? Go ahead, Ken.
Just speaking to some of the comments and knowing that I've been in that municipality in municipal capacity for 18 years and knowing that just about every structure down there went through construction and never a word about dust or usage of the road or anything else, I'm quite surprised to hear the comments that I'm hearing today. And structures on the back lots, I'm not aware of any legal requirements to leave it as green space in any of the documents that were available to us at the time, which is why the garage across the road next door was built. And I believe there's one or two at the end of the road that were also constructed. I can understand dust and noise. I don't know anything about planting or anything like that, but that has no bearing whatsoever on the project that's being proposed. I would think that trees as a screen against the building would be of benefit in terms of privacy and that kind of thing and the impact upon the visual. So I guess that's pretty much covers the comments, I think.
Okay. Thank you. To the Wilkes, you mentioned an agreement. Was that a formal agreement or an informal agreement about green space at the south side of the road?
It was a so-called gentleman's agreement. When the back lots were purchased, everyone agreed that that property would remain green for the environment, for the use of everyone. It has been a very large open area for a very long time. And the first adjustment to that visually is very negative. It's the large yellow building currently built. And as to the garages on the road, there is only that one. The road ends at I think it's 7 whatever at the Farmer Campbell property, and that's not visible from the road at all. And that was never part of the original agreement.
Okay, thank you. Now, it's now time for members to ask questions. Are there any members with comments or questions? Wendy, go ahead. Wendy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just looking at the diagram, it does seem to be a rather large garage, even considering that they want to put the RV in there. And I'm just curious if any of the existing 3 sheds will be removed once the garage is built. A couple of them are close to or over the lot line already. So I'm just curious about that.
Ken, can you answer that question?
There has been no mention whatsoever of the 3 buildings, and I don't know what their intent is with it. I wasn't aware that one of them recently appeared because all 3 of them are on the survey. The one that was alleged to have been a garage and converted into living space, I don't know anything about it either. The 2 small sheds are under the 10 by 10. And of course, as long as they meet the zoning setbacks, there would never be permits or anything. So I know nothing about them other than that they exist.
Okay, further comments, questions? Go ahead, Wendy.
Just to further Ken's comment there, it looks like one is actually over the line and the other one does not meet the side lot line requirements. So those were the 2 I was curious about. The other one's fine.
Jim Mullahan has a comment or question.
When we discuss, when I heard the comments about the width of the new proposed garage, my owning a motorhome myself, I understand that with the kickouts and everything that are on a motorhome today, I wondered about the width of this as well. But the actuality of it is there's only one garage door on the front of this garage. So when he backs in there, if he's backing in the center of it, he'd still be able to open up the motorhome in order to maintain it inside or clean it or do whatever it was inside. So I don't believe the width is really over that much to allow that use around the unit inside the garage. Anyhow, comments as far as land, when you look at the lots on the survey and on Google Maps and everything, you definitely see the divisions of each of those lots looking down on them. So I'm not sure about the gentleman's agreement.
Okay, thank you. I think Rod Manley had a comment or question.
I guess my question is for clarification. So it's my understanding that it's legal for this gentleman to build a garage on the back of his property. The question here that we are addressing is the fact of the size of the building and the height of the building. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I share the feeling that this building is very large compared to what's really needed to park a 38-foot RV in a building that's 40 feet by 50 feet approximately. A little bit out of character. I mean, I guess the fact of the matter is he's using it for other things. As I look at the layout of the building, there's 2 other side doors coming in from the sides that are, looks like vehicles or toys or whatever, and that's fine. But if the coverage is the issue and the size of the building and the height of the building is the issue that I must address here, that would be my concern. Thank you.
Mr. Curry, you want to comment on that?
If I may, without minor variance, they would be entitled to 1,600 square feet, and they're asking for 2,000. So we're only really talking about 400 square feet, which isn't much more than enough to put a extended cab 4-door truck into. So to say that it's too wide, too big, too long, it really isn't in the grand scheme of things. In the side doors, he has 2 personal vehicles, and he wishes to keep his boat in one of the bays as well. I mean, the idea is to keep everything inside out of sight so that people aren't having to look at it. so when you're talking about massing, if they're allowed 1,600 square feet to say 400 is too much more. I'm not sure that that's.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments from the committee? I will get to you, McLaren. Jim, go ahead. Comments from the committee. Jim Patterson.
Eric, so Ken, or through you, Mr. Chair, that 1,600 versus 2,000 sounds easy, but it's 25%. That's a big number in terms of minor. So that's the concern that I will have when we come to vote.
Okay, thank you. Now, anyone else from the committee? Wendy, further question?
Yes, I am just listening to the concerns of the neighbors about past activity on the lot. I'm just wondering, I think there's bylaws about when heavy equipment can run.
I just gotta jump in here. I think Rod basically highlighted what we're here to make a decision on. The bylaws regarding noise and dust and whatever, we can't as a committee get involved with that whatsoever. Now I did hear from the Wilkes about a planning issue that would be the application is or not desirable or appropriate for the development of this land. Now, that's where our arguments pro and against are going to be, or should come from, is does it meet the 4 tests? And that's, we got to focus back on the 4 tests.
And that was just going to be my comment, is that those other concerns would be dealt with separately, not through this committee.
Yeah, very definitely. Now, McLaren's, you go ahead there now. Tammy? You're muted. You're still muted.
There we go.
There you go.
So you're saying that this is not the opportunity to express our concerns about the heavy equipment that's been going back and forth since the end of August, and the dust, the damage, the parking everywhere. At what point in time do we get to address that? Because this is going to be a real problem. And closing the gate after the cattle have gotten out, it's mute. So could you please help us understand at what point in time is this a concern then?
I would think as committee chair and as council member that your best bet would be put your complaints in writing and send it to the township. To the township office. And that can be done by email or by letter. And they will address what bylaws, if any, would address that. When Martina, you could perhaps help me further.
Absolutely. So through you, Mr. Chair, as I already have comments from Tammy in writing, I can pass those on to our building department, okay. And they can help you address your concerns and speak to you about the noise bylaw and the construction bylaw and those other items. So I can do that for you after this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Mr. Curry.
Yes, I wish to address the percentage increase comment that was made. We're not talking about the percentage increase of one building. We're talking about the allowable percentage increase of lot coverage, of which we're allowed 5%. And I believe we're asking for an additional 2%. It sounds terrible when you say 25% versus 2%. And I just want to make clear that, you know, we in the past have done many variances in that range in terms of a percent increase for lot coverage. And so it would be very consistent with one of the 3 tests. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Any further comments before the members are asked? I'll ask for a motion. One question I had, Mr. Curry, and that is that the drawing of the building appears that there's almost a second story in the building. Is that true? Is
no.
There okay, the windows are there for lighting only?
So the false dormers on the top with light, and the RV is 13 feet tall. And in order to 14-foot door in, you need 1 foot above it for the track and the hardware. So you have a 15-foot wall.
Okay, so there's no second story there.
No, and
okay, because
no possibility.
Sometimes in these accessory buildings with heights like this, the upstairs tends to be a party room, and that can create further noise that we're trying to regulate in this township.
No,
okay, members. Is there a member that would like to put a motion on the floor, please? I need somebody to come forward with Rod. Go ahead, please.
I'll put a motion out there so that that we support the recommendation as in the report to allow us to vote on this.
Okay. And is there a seconder for that motion? Is there a seconder? Wendy will second the motion. Any discussion by any members? All those in favor? Throw your hand. Okay, opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you everyone for attending. There is a 20-day appeal process. Martina, anyone that wishes to get involved with that appeal, Martina can give you details at the office after the meeting, if that's okay. And thank you very much for everyone attending. Will, go ahead, please.
Yeah, could we ask Martina also to forward our letter to council so that the items we discuss outlined can be addressed by council?
Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask Barbara for clarification. Do you wish your letter to go to staff so they can address it, or you wish it to go directly to council without it going to staff?
Both. Why don't you send it to staff and then to council?
Very good. It'll appear on our next agenda, which is August 3rd.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for attending the the committee of adjustment. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Pardon me. And our next meeting will be August the 27th. Is that still relative, Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is the date we are working towards.
Okay.
We do need to pass one more resolution, which is the impact of the comments.
Okay.
I can read out a recommendation for the committee's consideration.
I'm sure the committee would appreciate that.
Yeah, the committee has received oral and written submissions from the public regarding minor variance application A0621 and has made its decision based on that information along with the application submission from Curve Lake First Nation and the staff report.
Who would like to move that, please? Rod, seconded by Wendy. And all those in favor? In favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. We'll be convening the Committee of Planning just right after we adjourn this meeting. So thank you. So move to adjourn, Jim Patterson, and seconded by Jim Mullihan, and all in favor, carried. Okay. Does anyone need a quick break? Okay, we'll convene the agenda for the planning committee meeting now. For those of us that were on the meeting before, I've got to go through the routine. Welcome everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. We're holding the meeting as over in the council chambers, and we'll follow all the regular policies and procedures of the procedural bylaw. To members, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on a matter, and I'll call on you. And when I call on the vote, I'll ask you all in favor, followed by all those opposed, and we'll ask you to raise your hand to show your support or non-support for that motion. Now, we will introduce the members again in case there's somebody on the call here that wasn't on the call before. So we have Wendy Dunford is a member, Rod Manley, Jim Patterson, Jim Mullaham, and myself, Carl Moher, and our clerk planning coordinator is Martina J. Hardwick. And we have, I think we're all set to go now here. Vanessa Sweeting and Nicole Jenner are providing some of the technical support behind the scenes. The first called to order by myself. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest for the planning applications in front of us, the three of them? Okay, seeing none. The first application is, approval of the minutes, June the 11th. If somebody could move those, please. Rod, seconded by Wendy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, severance application B15. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wendy.
Mr. Chair, I was just curious. Yes, I was just going to ask about the minutes from the June 11th meeting. The recommendation that I thought we voted on was that a mitigation measures agreement would be entered into, and I didn't see that on the minutes. So perhaps through you, Mr. Chair, Martina could explain why that was not included.
Martina, do you have those minutes?
I just pulled them up in front of me. So through you, Mr. Chair, when we reviewed application, it was B 2021 and B 2121, was located at 959 County Road 6. We had removed the mitigation measures in our discussion at the meeting because ORCA was no longer requiring that. And we typically only ask for mitigations when ORCA requests that. So it had been removed from the decision as part of our verbal conversation and then voted on by the committee.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now the severance application 1521 for O'Brien at 706 Cooney Island Road. Martina, can you take us through this, please?
Absolutely. So Mr. O'Brien's application B1521 had previously come before the committee in the winter. It was in March 26, 2021. And the committee had passed a resolution deferring the application until such time as the snow had melted and the chief building official could visit the site to verify how wet the site may be and provide recommendations on the building methods for any future structures. So that visit did take place, and both the chief building official and the manager of public works have revisited the site. And as we go forward, I'll just read you the information. So the official plan designation on both the severed and retained is rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent farm operations are not created. There's a maximum of 2 lots created every 25 years, and this lot is eligible for a severance. The zoning on both properties is rural. The severed lot may need a rezoning, and the retained lot will not need a rezoning. The severed lot will meet the area requirements for residential use in this rural zone, but at 40 meters, it will not have enough frontage along a municipally maintained road. The issue could be rectified by the applicant by increasing the amount of frontage by 5 meters. The retained lot will meet all of the frontage and area requirements. This application is not in conformity with the growth plan or the provincial policy statement. That can be rectified by the applicant through the completion of an environmental impact statement as per the ORCA letter dated March 29th, 2021. As a preliminary severance review was not completed, the county planning department will be reviewing the application closely, along with any other submissions to address these issues, and they'll work with the applicant as they prepare the report for land division. Staff have revisited the site and their comments remain the same as in the report from March 10th. A safe entrance is possible and a culvert will be required. Further, staff are requesting a 3-meter strip of frontage be deeded to the township. So our CBO had visited the site and he observed that the lot is located within 120 meters of a creek but the site appears to be dry. He's recommending further analysis when development is occurring, if a full height basement is desired. A septic hole has already been completed and the results were satisfactory. Again, a preliminary severance review by the county was not completed. All department managers have been circulated for comment on this application, and we also made available to the committee and the public additional mapping of this property, as it was not clear in the original application. Staff are recommending to the committee that they recommend to council that severance application B1521 for Michael O'Brien be approved, and if approved by the Peterborough Land Division Committee, that the following conditions be imposed. A $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality. That either the frontage along the municipally maintained road be increased by 5 meters for the severed lot, or a rezoning of the severed land be obtained to the satisfaction of the municipality. That a 10-foot strip of frontage from the severed parcel be deeded to the township for road widening purposes. That a safe entrance and culvert be approved by the manager of public works. And that an EIS be completed to the scope requested by the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority, and further that the lot shape be adjusted to remain outside of the required buffer zones from that study.
Thank you, Martina. Are there any representatives from the O'Brien on the line? Do you know, Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. O'Brien is not on the line. He was trying to connect, but he was having issues.
Sure. Okay, members, are there any questions or comments? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, is
Hello?
there
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello, Carl?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Metis.
Okay. This is Ron's sister, Carol. And
okay.
Ron's sitting beside me. So
okay.
Did you want to?
Do you have any comments or questions? Or?
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
The environmental survey is done and it's sent out to the township office.
Could you?
The name of the company is there.
Could you hear that, Carl?
Yes, the environmental study will be coming to the township office, and it should also be sent, I think, to the county, Martina?
Go ahead. Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Both, actually, the County of Peterborough will require a copy, the township will require a copy, and ORCA will require a copy. I'm not sure how that was sent to us, but I have not seen it cross my desk yet.
Just this morning.
Okay. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any committee members? Rod, go ahead.
To move the recommendation with the conditions as outlined, as Martina just read off.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion? Jim Patterson? Any comments or questions further? All those in favor? It's carried.
Thank
okay,
you.
Now this recommendation now goes to Township Council at a near future meeting. The Township is one of many agencies that comment on these applications, but there is a favorable recommendation from this committee, and I would think that the Council of the Day would probably have recommended as well. So thank you very much for the application, and lots of red tape with it, but you've got a big step completed anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next application is Tom's B32-21. Martine, I'll get you to take us through this summary, please.
Very good. I have heard from Mr. Toms he will not be able to make the meeting this morning.
Thank you.
This application is located at 803 12th Line Road, Dummer. It's for the creation of one residential lot. The severed plan designations on both the severed and retained lot is rural. As similar as Mr. O'Brien's, residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflicts with adjacent farm operations are not created. Residential and recreational lots are allowed to exceed the 1 hectare limit for lots that, are able to exceed the 1 hectare limit, which is typically applied to a strictly residential use. The maximum of 2 consents can be created for new lots. And this owner has owned the property for 5 years, and there's been no severances in the past 25 years. The severed lot is zoned rural, and the retained lot is rural, EC, and ECP. I do note there's an error in the report. It has a severed lot B. That's an error on staff's part. There is no severed lot B, so I apologize for any confusion that may have caused the committee. The severed lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for the residential recreational use in the rural zone, and the retained lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for residential recreational use in the rural zone. No development is allowed in the EC and ECP zones, except for agriculture, forestry, conservation, and recreational uses. The proposed retained lot was identified as having key natural heritage and hydrological features, including a provincially significant wetland, unevaluated wetlands, and possible species at risk. A natural heritage evaluation was completed by GHD in February 2021, and it has been submitted with this application to address the provincial policy statement and the growth plan. The study was reviewed by ORCA. They've submitted a letter. I have outlined it in the report, but I won't read it again because I'm sure you've read it already and you can access it afterwards. But from the outcome of that study and ORCA's review, it does appear that the application meets ORCA's requirements. Further to that, in reviewing this application in light of the comments from ORCA and the environmental impact study completed by GHD, staff are satisfied that the application is in compliance with the provincial policy statement and the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. A safe entrance is possible for both of the lots, and a culvert for the retained lot may be required in the future. The CBO says a report was, for the CBO's report, it was not available at the time of writing. The severed lot is already developed though. An appropriate building site was identified on the retained through the environmental impact study. A copy of a preliminary review was attached to this application. And due to discussions with the County of Peterborough, ORCA, and the applicant, the lot location was moved from the preliminary severance review to the current location you see on the formal application to address the various concerns previously outlined. Test holes for a septic system have already been completed and the results are satisfactory. In their recommendation, we had originally asked for a mitigation measures agreement for the retained lot. Since writing this report, I've received legal advice that we cannot apply a mitigation measures agreement on a retained lot, only on lots to be severed. So I am removing that condition. And I'm recommending to the committee that they recommend to council that this application be approved, and if approved by the Peterborough Land Division Committee, that a $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality.
Thank you, Martina. Committee members, questions, comments? Okay, are we ready for a motion? Go ahead, Jim. Jim Patterson. I'm going to have to get used to that.
Yeah. We're going to have to get used to that. You can call me Mr. Okay, I'll move on behalf of the committee. I'll move that we recommend to council that this be submitted as appropriately and as outlined by Martina with the conditions.
Thank you. And your seconder for that motion? Your seconder, Rod? And comment, Wendy? Okay, all those in favor, show your hand, please. It's carried. Okay, you'll be filling them in on the regulations, Martina. Thank you very much. Okay, our next application is Grant Darling. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Grant. You know the routine so far, I'm sure, with the two applications in front of you. Martina, can you take us through the through this application, please, or applications?
Mr. Chair, so this is a severance review. This is not a formal application, but it's for Mr. Darling's property located on the 4th Line Road, South Dummer. It is a vacant parcel. And Mr. Darling, as you can see, is with us today. He's hoping to create 2 residential lots. Severed lot A and B are both rural, and the retained lot is rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflicts with adjacent farm operations are not created. A maximum of 2 consents can be created from a lot, and this lot has not received any previous severances in the past 25 years, and Mr. Darling has owned the property more than 5 years. Severed lot A, B, and severed lot A and B are both zoned rural. They will not require rezonings. The retained lot is rural and EC. It will also not require a rezoning. The proposed lots are located outside of the 120 meter key hydrological feature study area, and therefore a natural heritage evaluation and hydrological assessment were not required and will not be required. The application is in line with the policies found in the growth plan. The owner did submit his preliminary severance review to the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority, and the following comments were provided. The comments provided in the preliminary severance review will be sufficient. The site is not regulated by ORCA. Permits for development will not be required by this agency. Please note these are preliminary. Should additional information become available, these comments may change. Staff have discussed the ORCA comments with other ORCA staff and the county staff. Safe entrances are possible for both lots. Culverts may be required, and a 3 meter strip of frontage is required from both the severed lots for road widening purposes. A chief building official report was not available at the time of writing this report. Of course, the county's review is attached, and it's being recommended to the committee that they recommend to council support in principle of the severance proposals for Grant Darling, and when a formal application is submitted to the Peterborough Land Division Committee, that the following conditions be imposed. A $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality for each lot. That a 3 meter strip of frontage from both severed parcels be deeded to the township for road widening purposes. That safe entrances for both of the severed parcels be approved by the manager of public works. That when the applicant files a formal consent application, there will be fees to inspect test holes to ensure septic systems would be viable. These septic holes will only be on the severed lots. The retained lot is over 10 hectares, and therefore a septic test hole is not required. And further, that the chief building official is to confirm that there is a suitable building envelope on the 2 consents proposed.
Thank you, Martina. Grant, have you any further comments that you wish to present to the committee?
No, I think I'd just like to thank the committee for attending today, and also to Martina for all the work she's put into this file. Can you hear me okay, Carl? My internet connection's not very good.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Everybody's frozen, so I don't know if you're sitting really still and you're stunned by the Canadians' win last night, or if the screen's just froze. I'm not sure. But yeah, as Martina covered most of it, I made sure, working with Amanda Warren at the county and going over the official plans, I just tried to make sure there was a proper building envelope outside the 81 meter MDS zone, which we accomplished in the first lot, which was closest to the barns. I think Martina covered it all. It meets all the frontage requirements for the retained and the severed lots. ORCA has made comments that unless something changes with the application, that it's good there. And I understand about the $1,250 cash in lieu and in the test holes having to be dug, and the 3 meter piece at the front. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I think I've tried to make sure I went through the preliminary severance review beforehand to make it easier for everybody and make sure I was in line with all the official plans. So
good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any comments from the committee members? Okay, are we ready for a resolution? Go ahead, Rod.
I'd like to support the recommendation that the committee recommend this to council, support in principle this severance, as per the recommendation outlined in the conditions noted.
Okay. Second that. Wendy, question?
No, I was just going to second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, it's carried. Grant, you heard us before regarding this. This goes to when the official application is presented to the county, the township will get a request for comments, and this committee's recommendation will be what will be included in the Council of the Day's recommendation to the committee. And we're one of many committees that comment on these, and but you've got a big step accomplished.
Thanks for that, Carl. Thanks to the committee.
And I think it must be a pretty good day for you today, Grant. I think your dad, Gary, was tied into the Canadians, was he not, from time to time?
Yeah, a little bit, but historically more tied to the Bruins. So I guess Mr. Patterson is the main opponent to his team, but the Canadians are just happy the Bruins are out this year.
Right. Okay, well, thanks very much. So that'll be moving forward. So I guess the next part of this committee meeting, we've got a roundtable discussion, and with new members on our committee, it was discussed that we maybe invite Alana and J. Murray Jones, our mayor, who've got even more experience with Committee of Adjustment, Committee of Planning, to join our meeting. So I'm going to ask Martina to lead this portion of the meeting, if that's okay. And hopefully everybody can stay on for a little while, and this shouldn't take too terribly long. So Martina, what did I forget?
No, I just wanted to alert the committee and anyone watching the YouTube that the YouTube will now be paused for this part of the meeting, as all the public applications have been heard, but a recording is available should it be needed for any reason. So I just wanted to make that alert, and we'll just turn off the YouTube and continue on.